Hi. Okay, I can straight-faced make it through this. Sure. Greetings and welcome to this new edition of the Disinformed podcast, where we want you to make liars of us all. I'm Shane.
I'm John. And I'm Michael.
And we are having an exorcism here via organ, apparently.
You wanted organ.
Oh my god, you did.
Also, so the picture on the YouTube video.
It's like the
chick
ring
from the
girl.
Ring.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the chick from the Ring.
This is the music that cues when your uncle walks in the room with his pants around his ankles. Ma, 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 ma.
Hello, Jonathan.
I hope you enjoy light kisses against the nape of your neck, because that's the only way I can finish.
What's your name? Uncle Tushy.
This is the Naked Puzzle Basement. Ba, 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 ba. There's two organs being played tonight, John. Oh my god.
So what's the point of the podcast?
Yeah, so the general idea here is that we are going to whip a little information at you about an esoteric topic, and then in the information there are going to be a couple lies to, throw us off the scent of all rational thought. And the co-hosts are going to try to pick out what the lies are amidst all of the other roiling nonsense that is the facts about these particular topics. Does that sound reasonable enough to everybody in the room?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So, I want to mention before we start running, I've had a series of small conniptions based on Instagram trying to sell me things. Uh-oh. Has anyone else here encountered this glorious jip that they have going on of, get free pair of wireless earbuds, free for nothing, just pay shipping? Have you seen any of these things on Instagram?
No. But
okay.
I just want to know what your Google search history is like, that they're trying to target you for free stuff, pay absolutely nothing.
It's mostly butt plugs
just
and
holes by you saying gypped.
Yes. Oh, we're not going back to the Romanis again. We're Nathan's new favorite podcast, by the way, just for the number of times I've whipped like gypsy into this conversation. No, what happened, the first one that got me, as I recall, was they had these blue light glasses, which I work with a computer all day. I'm prone to getting migraines. I'm really photosensitive.
And they fuck you up.
Yes. And so I was like, cool, blue light. I'm totally down with this. So I ordered these blue light things, and they were, normally $60 for the glasses themselves, free for nothing, just pay shipping. So I'm like, awesome. I'm totally going to do this because what, as we said in the last podcast, what the hell do I have to lose? I'm ordering this squatty potty. Yeah. So I ordered, and then 8 weeks later, here come my glasses from China. So as you're tracking the shipping, it's like Yajing Funting Province being mailed out 4 days ago. And then it's like arrived at other location, moved in warehouse, order updated. And it's like every 3 days, there's just this update from China where apparently they have bounced my glasses all over the goddamn country. And then
do you think
eventually,
they're assembling it one piece at a time?
I hope so, because it's very Johnny Cash. One piece at a time, and the Chinese charge me a dime.
I don't think I have any sponsored things that are that weird. I want to see if I can get anything.
They're fun, but and so then I ordered another thing fairly recently. That's a Hawaiian shirt. And
no, first sponsored is just Nintendo. I have normal things.
Okay, yeah. So I got another one fairly recently where it's this beard straightener that all these kids are talking about these days, where you can sit and, it's basically akin to like a crimper for a woman. Okay, but it just puts heats so it will straighten. It's a straightener for your beard. And I'm like, I got a lot of waves happening here.
You do.
I have a very wavy face. It's like, Port-au-Prince or something. It's just a lot of water.
More waves than a Viking funeral.
Indeed. More waves than a Deer Hunter record. And if you're going to enjoy episode 3, kids, that's coming. But so I ordered this thing April 14th. As we speak, it is now mid-May. I still haven't seen it. From what I got on Friday, it was in Los Angeles. So it finally made it onto American soil after nearly a month. So don't order anything off Instagram if you are not prepared to wait, because this instant gratification culture we've created just spoils you.
I'm pretty excited to bookmark this and see the next thing that you fall for.
Okay.
Like, I just wondered the name of the Nigerian prince that you're gonna get.
And that's the thing is, I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is such a paltry amount of money. I can spend $6 for shipping and watch, the waiting game of when this is going to make it to me.
It is fucking amazing.
So.
The amount of shit you'll go through just to get free shipping. I added on 100-pack of Glade Flings.
Flings?
It's like Tide Pods, but it's like it's like sad bastard version of it.
So it's akin to like semen on the end of your fingertips.
Yeah, just so that I could
the Glade Fling.
Just so that I could avoid going to Walmart to directly pick up what I was actually ordering, which, if you must know, was rollback cologne. So
I have not heard of this. Okay, John's having a stroke. I'm sorry. Give me a minute.
It's Lacoste Sport, and they discontinued it, but I really like it. And everywhere else you look for, it's like $80, but I went on Walmart, and it was like $40 on sale because it's not going to be in there. Like, hey, you can come down to Thomas, like go to Central Phoenix, and you can go pick it up, or we can ship it to you, but it's going to be a couple dollars unless you add one more thing on here to get over this amount, and then we'll ship it. Okay. The fucked up thing, I added on, the flings come in 2 days. But then
I come in 30 seconds.
But then the Lacoste, it took a whole week. I could have and it shipped from New York. It didn't even come from the one in Phoenix. Wow. So this entire time I was like, can I change my answer?
You know what the funny thing is I was Lacosted last week by a group of Cajuns because we were talking about Bad Dixieland.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I like the Lacoste as well. So, divvying from that, the topic this week, ladies and germaphobes, is LaVeyan Satanism. And I take it neither of you gentlemen had heard anything about this previously.
I mean, hail Satan.
But, I mean, hail Stan. And that's, yes.
My only real exposure to Satanism was reading a very bad fan fiction a long time ago called My Immortal.
Okay.
Wait, from the Evanescence song?
No.
That would be awesome.
Nothing like that.
I'm holding my last breath.
If you actually, and I won't say, this is not bullshit, if you Google search the world's worst fan fiction on the internet, you will get My Immortal. It is a cultural icon, and I love it.
Okay.
It's pretty much, the whole idea was that it was written by this, edgy, air quotes, edgy, angsty teen, probably over 10 years ago or something like that.
It's an awful lot.
Some nerd that read Catcher in the Rye a million times or something.
It's Harry Potter fan fiction, but everyone is a gothic, spelled Goffik, vampire. Everyone's a vampire.
Gothic?
Yeah.
It's Gothic.
How thick is it? It's Gothic. Oh, God, that hurts.
But they would... one of the main things was that she would always spell words wrong. And she would always just say that she would be a Satanist. And that was my only real exposure.
She's so soft. She's 100 thread count. She's so great.
Victoria sits out of her room. Sits in her room on October 30th.
Well, I'll start out with the image, and I'm going to show this around the room. So for anyone else who wants to follow along, if you're playing the home game for LaVeyan Satanism, on the Wikipedia page, the first thing you'll see is the sigil of Baphomet, which is the official symbol of LaVeyan Satanism and the Church of Satan.
Uh-huh.
So we'll get into that later on, because I mean Baphomet's a lot of fun. We've spent a little time with him before. He got my goat once. It was you're welcome. Good luck.
Capital oof.
So, it's an interesting thing to start with, but I have been fascinated by LaVeyan Satanism for quite some time. When I first stumbled across the 11 Rules of the Earth, which is sort of their governing document. So if Orthodox Christianity here has the golden rule leading into the Ten Commandments,
right,
the counter riposte to the Ten Commandments is the 11 Rules of the Earth. So we'll get to that in a second because it's a lot of fun and it's one of my favorite things ever. And as a guiding document or principle, it is some of the most profound material you will ever encounter of how to properly conduct oneself in today's society. But to give you a quick sort of foundation, LaVeyan Satanism is a religion founded in 1966. It's so unfortunate it wasn't 1666. I really would have enjoyed that.
I'll take the 6-6.
I mean, who won't?
Pretty much there.
Yes, yes. It's
Close
so
enough.
6-y.
Yeah.
And Nikki Sixx founded it, apparently.
Oh, dear God.
I'm sorry. So it was founded by the American occultist and author Anton Szandor LaVey, which he sounds like a Ghostbusters character. It's like, Szandor! It's Lord Vigo! But so the scholars of the religion have classified it as a new religious movement and a form of Western esotericism. So
Can you define esotericism?
I can. So esotericism is essentially anything that functions out of the range of orthodoxy. So if it is not within the bounds of like conventional wisdom. So that which is outside of Christianity or Judaism and anything that is sort of like an ethos, the esotericism is what's contrary to it.
So it's essentially like something that shouldn't be on your taco, but it is.
I mean, possibly.
Okay.
If it's liquid cheese, you could go get it at Papa John's. Or Little Caesars. I'm sorry, I caught myself. So essentially, it's just saying that it is something that is other, which is, makes sense for Satanism. And it's one of the reasons they actually chose Satan as the representation. Because, funnily enough, kids, LaVeyan Satanism is not a Satan-worshipping cult. Congratulations. Mind equals broken.
Okay.
I can't handle that.
It's kind of hard to come to terms with.
Ugh.
Okay, so I watched a documentary last week or 2 weeks ago about the Satanic Temple, and it's the same deal. I walked into this thinking that this is the one that's like
Blood babies and
So
Metal
I'm kind
fingers.
of actually like can I just leave? Because I'm disappointed.
This wasn't what I
now.
signed up for.
I thought it
Yes.
was going to get really Crowley in here.
Well, it is because Crowley is actually involved.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So, I mean,
okay, I'm
but-
sitting back down.
I think you may misunderstand Crowley as well.
I didn't finish the episode, but I did read the description.
Okay, you're fired. You got to stick around for this. There is enough here that is weird enough. It will keep you engaged, even though they are not roasting babies on spikes. Okay, so LaVey established Satanism the LaVeyan Satanism in the U.S. state of California, because, of course, where are you going to worship the devil in California? Through the founding of his Church of Satan on Walpurgisnacht in 1966. You know, for all of those who are Black Sabbath fans, you'll dive into that one. He proclaimed that to be 1966 is year one, Anno Satanas, the first year of the Age of Satan. His ideas were heavily influenced by the ideas and writings of Friedrich Nietzsche and Ayn Rand. Question?
Oh, no, I was just saying that a lot of people are probably it's just more fuel for their hate fire.
It's like, well, here we go, nihilism. We're all, he's a nihilist. That must be exhausting.
Nice marmot.
You're welcome. Oh, nice marmot. The church grew, essentially, under LaVey's leadership, and there were regional grottos that were founded across the United States. So, essentially, it's like popcorn popping. LaVey initially introduces the concept, everyone else co-opts it, and it starts sort of spreading like wildfire across the country. And the reason being is, a number of them eventually actually seceded from the church eventually and formed sort of independent satanic organizations. So kind of like the fundamental Mormon church and all the other nonsense that happens, like it gets more bizarre as it moves away from the original intent.
Right.
And so eventually LaVey abolished the grotto system and essentially said that Satanism was far less organized as a movement. Even though it was still greatly influenced by his writings, it started to get away from his own orthodoxy for something that was unorthodox to begin with. So we'll scroll past a bunch of this other stuff because we don't need to get you burdened in a lot of the factual nonsense. But the doctrines of the church the religion itself, are codified in LaVey's book, The Satanic Bible, in which he details a dream or a quick, what would we call it, like a fever dream that he had, where he spoke with a sort of sabbatic goat that imparted a bit of knowledge to
That's where you
him.
got Baphomet from.
Yes, and this is where the Baphomet came as sort of one of the sigils. Now, also, Crowley is sort of a numerologist, but was also fascinated with a lot of the Egyptian gods. And that's where a lot of Crowley's initial forays came from, is that he felt that he was spoken to by several...
Horus.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then he got his ideas direct from Horus. So there's a lot of co-opting of other religious sigils.
Okay, have you read the Satanic Bible?
I have not read the Satanic Bible.
Okay.
No.
Shane's mom There's still time.
You can win me back.
There's still time.
It's interesting to see sort of all these little, like, tributaries of information that run off and the way that they co-opt the things that they sort of gravitate towards. But the religion itself is materialist. So it means that the idea that he came up with is he wanted to reject the existence of supernatural beings, funnily enough, and then body-soul dualism and life after death. Essentially, we break down to bare bones that this is the life we have. This is all we've got. So comport yourself in the best way imaginable. It's almost, getting away from the idea of Buddhism and the idea of that you can sort of perpetuate through the ages and you'll be reincarnated. It's like, make the best of what you've got here. Rational thought is espoused. A lot of these other things that they run with. So,
again, off of the doc that I saw, it's essentially... Nope, I lost it. Go ahead.
Okay. But essentially, the practitioners of the faith do not believe that Satan literally exists, and they do not worship him. Instead, Satan is viewed as a positive archetype representing pride, carnality, and enlightenment. So meaning that essentially it's a sensationalist thing, and not that, we're holding up giant banners and scaring people, is that your carnality is something that should be embraced and appreciated. As we are human beings with urges, and the whole point of having them is to act upon them. So, don't pussyfoot around a lot of this stuff, kids. Go out, drink to excess, fuck everything that moves, and just hold it down because that's what we're here for. We're spreading our seed.
As my coworker Dwan would say, it's just a punk rock pizza party all the time.
Yes. So essentially, they point to Satan as a symbol of defiance against the Abrahamic religions, which LaVeyan criticized for suppressing humanity's natural instincts and encouraging irrationality. So a lot of this has to do with sort of letting rationale guide your principles. If something makes sense to you, that is what you essentially will just latch on to, as opposed to doing things because some random spiritual creature, some purportedly magical Jew told you that it's not nice to treat your friends that way. So
I know that wasn't funny. It was just the exposition of how that was.
Yes, you're welcome.
The delivery was phenomenal.
So there's problematic time work.
Yes.
There. Yeah.
So the religion, it propagates a naturalistic worldview, seeing mankind as animals and existing in an amoral universe. It promotes philosophy based on individualism and egoism, coupled with social Darwinism and anti-egalitarianism. Yeah, and you're gonna need to look a few of those up, kids.
Yeah, hold on. What's that one?
Anti-egalitarianism.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, go for it.
Yes, it's egalitarianism or equalitarianism is a school of thought within political philosophy that prioritize equality for all people.
So like pluralism?
Essentially, but the idea is essentially we should all be treated the same way.
Okay.
He's saying no. The idea is if you are smart enough to manipulate somebody else, obviously you should do so because
this is on LaVeyan.
Yes.
Okay.
So the idea is that essentially do what feels good. All of these other things that rationale exists. So he's saying if someone is an idiot and you can't stand them, you do not need to cope with them and treat them justly. They don't deserve your pity. So he's saying if they're encumbering you and you can't do what you want to do, yes, it's like, we'll talk about samurais.
So you're a Satanist.
Yeah. This is what I was pointing to, is like why I found this really engaging for me, is like a lot of these things speak to me as like, this is just a rational way to behave. Is if you're a good person, by and large, you'll be able to make it through this life without other people really bothering you. But if they do, we'll get to the 11 rules of the earth here. So one of my absolute favorite things. I'll jump forward to that just because it's...
I think it's topical now. I think we're at a point.
Yeah.
So
good transition.
We'll dive into... this is not
While
easily...
he's pulling that up, I just want to point out that a small fire has started in the corner of the room.
We're putting a child over it as we speak to try to, exhaust the flames. All right, so
Jesus, Mike, take the baby out.
I just like them really crispy.
It's extra crispy baby today. Baby back ribs. So, the 11 satanic rules of the earth, as indicated by Anton Szandor LaVey. This is copyright 1967, kids, so if you're going to look this up.
This is within the first year? No.
Yes, so essentially the church was founded in 66.
Okay.
So he then established his own work, and then this is detailed in his writings. So, number 1. Do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked. So Sam is obviously not a Satanist. for the three of us who are going to get that joke in the room. Everyone else can kind of run. But
you can plug it right now.
So, John and I are both in a band called Damn the Weather here in the good old Phoenix, Arizona. And you can check us out. But Sam is our violin player, and she is, completely anti rule number 1 of the 11 rules of the earth. She will give you an opinion whether or not you've asked it, whether she's in the same room, whether she's in the same state, actually. You're going to hear what she thinks about something.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
so,
continuing.
Any questions about rule number 1? It's pretty simple.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
Here we go. Number 2. Do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them. Are these not the most rational guiding principles as opposed to saying, thou shalt nots? This is so beautifully rational. Rule 3. When in another's lair, yes, he says lair, it makes me very happy, show him respect, or else do not go there.
Unless they have a dirty bathroom.
Yeah, then you need to regulate on some bastards.
Like a corollary to Rule 3.
The asterisk here.
Yes.
Unless that bathroom dirty, though.
That's literally what was written.
Yes. If a guest in your lair annoys you, treat him cruelly and without mercy.
Shit.
Rule number 5, and this is my absolute favorite. I guarantee you can't make this one up. I'm going to take it out of the running as a lie because it's so cool. There's no way I could slide this past you guys.
Okay, cool. So it's immune.
Yes. Okay. Number 5, do not make sexual advances unless you are given the mating signal. Now, there is nowhere in any of these writings where the mating signal that I have found is expanded upon because I need to find that. I want to be able to walk down the street, throw my arms up in the Karate Kid stance and be like, "Kaka!" And then some woman's like, "Yes!"
I'm going to go ahead and say that was a peak.
Yes.
But also the mating signal, that sounds like a 2003 new metal band.
The mating signal. The mating signal. Yeah, so that's my favorite.
They toured with Onkla.
You don't get any better than that. Uncle Touchy promotes the mating signal. And your uncle would not have waited for you, John, that's all I'm saying. Do not take that which does not belong to you, unless it is a burden to the other person and he cries out to be relieved. I mean, thou shalt not steal just, takes a shit compared to how, they're like, hey, listen, we have a caveat here. If that person's saying it's overwhelming to them, go ahead and take it. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Acknowledging the power of magic if you have employed it successfully to obtain your desires. If you deny the power of magic after having called upon it with success, you will lose all you've obtained. Now, here's even more fun.
Yeah, there's some fun shit. Yeah.
Because he sort of ascribes the Crowley version of magic, which Crowley in his books actually defines magic as any act which brings an unnatural thing to life. So it causes... He's saying the act of writing a book is magic because you, through the movement of your own will, has caused something that did not naturally occur to occur.
If you want to get real hippie about it, any creative essentially is a magic
birth
user.
is an act of magic.
Huh.
But, I mean, technically, no. That's
it's essentially, he's treating magic like a participation trophy.
Correct. But essentially saying through sheer force of will, the act of making music is an act of magic because you've manifested something that would not have occurred unless your will impacted to make it so.
You're not entertained.
And so I really enjoyed that as saying, like, you have to acknowledge that magic exists. Otherwise, then you're verboten. Yeah. It's all going to go away. It will abandon you if you've used it. Do not complain about anything to which you need not subject yourself.
That's good.
Now, you tell me that does not break your brain. Every single time I read that is the one I wind up hedging on, where I'm like, how do I not espouse this as my governing faith? When it's like, if you're standing in a room bitching about your job, I'm like, congratulations, you could quit. You really do not need to subject yourself to that.
Well, it literally is my favorite. Yeah, not my favorite thing, but I completely agree.
It's a great credo.
Yeah. Shane Smith on Freaky Geeks talks about something very similar to that, and they are very pro-Satan. But this kind of stuff where it's like, not really Satan, but it's just fun.
In the Illuminati sense of we're being rational.
If you're saying you don't have time, it's because you're not creating the fucking time, so stop fucking complaining. And if you really cared about it, like we're sitting here recording a podcast with the free time that we had, but it's time we could have spent doing something else.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I could have been flogging the log for at least 25 minutes by this time, so...
Oh, we'll talk about your problems here pretty
soon. Self-gratification is covered within this religion, kids, so just so you know. Rule number 9, and contrary to almost everyone's perspective on Satanism, do not harm little children.
Okay.
So there you are. That in clear text, they are not roiling kids over spits and, waiting for them to drip down all the good parts. Rule number 10, do not kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for food. And rule number 11, which is what makes me a Satanist more than anything else on the planet, when walking in open territory, bother no one. If someone bothers you, ask him to stop. If he does not stop, destroy him.
Okay. Do you feel like Randy Blythe from Lamb of God read these and then just made 6 songs about it?
It's possible.
It feels like the tenets, a couple of the tenets is like what he used to write the beginning to like Omerta. Yeah. And if you haven't heard that song, just listen to the beginning of it. Randy Blythe, whether or not you think he's a good guy or not, I think he's in the middle. He sounds like such a goddamn douchebag at the beginning of that song. Any spoken word thing before a metal song, sorry, my guy. I am not here for you.
God. So, after running through the 11 rules of the earth, that is essentially the governing body for the faith. So anyone who believes in Satanism, those are the rules that you follow. Pretty straightforward. There is none of that talks about bathing yourself in blood or any nonsense, but it does speak to the belief in magic and the power of magic. So to follow up on that point, LaVeyan Satanism involves the practice of magic, which encompasses 2 distinct forms, greater and lesser magic. So greater magic is a form of ritual practice and is meant as psychodramatic catharsis to focus one's emotional energy for a specific purpose.
What?
Yeah, we'll get into the psychodrama. Psychodrama is an action method, also often used as psychotherapy, in which clients use spontaneous dramatization, role-playing, and dramatic self-presentation to investigate and gain insight into their lives.
I feel like I'm in school again because I feel like I just blanked right through that.
So essentially they're going like,
now I need to take
if
notes
you
for
role
this.
play when you're doing therapy in order to help like how I'm going to interact with someone when I'm feeling weird, essentially, that's what they're referring to.
Okay.
So it's just in order for you to help get a little catharsis gained or have a better insight for how to approach situations if they manifest themselves later on. Similarly speaking, that's what some of this magic is involved.
So it's like LARPing.
Essentially, yes. Okay. If you run around screaming thunderbolt at your enemies, then,
Yeah, that's magic.
That's magic. Greater magic, as we've said, is that. But then the rites based on 3 major psycho-emotive themes. There's compassion, which is love, destruction, which is hate, and sex, which is lust. So lesser magic is then subsequently the practice of manipulation by means of applied physiology and glamour, or wile and guile, to bend an individual or a situation to one's will.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is somewhat akin to Crowley's forms of magic, but a little bit of a derivation there. But it merely means that your will is stronger than that person's will, and if you can bend them or manipulate them, that makes you a better wizard.
Okay.
So that is kind of an overview, or the broad strokes, if you will. I can get you a little fun. This is a pull quote I really enjoyed when they were talking about it and saying, in LaVeyan's way of thinking, Satanism is both distinctly a new religion, which he himself, without any false modesty, invented, and the continuance of an ancient tradition of opposition to the status quo. So for LaVeyan, Satanism is also the religion of a playful provocateur. Anything that will shock people out of their unthinking adherence to the status quo is worth thinking about or doing. But within the tenets of the faith. So you can't just run around throwing babies onto spikes because that might shock people. But if you want to have an orgy in public, or if you want to start running around bathing yourself in peanut butter and then just, throwing ejaculate at people while they're drinking coffee,
it's all fair game.
Normal Wednesday night.
You're just figuring out what works best for you. I've literally seen
Michael do that on a Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So that's...
That is kind of the crux of what I'm throwing out here, because I know there's a lot of material there. This is going to make it even more fun.
No, it's not going to be a 3-part series on LaVeyan's or
LaVeyan Satanism.
LaVeyan. It's not. It's not Leviosa.
Leviosa. We can get into rites and practices if you want to have another. So I have one key lie. I wanted to make it also, extremely easy and extremely hard because there's so much material whipped at you there. But we also want to make it fun. So, I mean, amidst all that other nonsense, you have at least 3 to 4 stabs each. I don't care how many.
Do you want to take a stab real quick? I have one in mind, but I'm also kind of the person that's not going to think too hard on it because I'm not smart.
Well played.
So,
I can get into
have blind stabs.
Okay. Well, let me expand on a further point before we get too far, because
I wrote it down on my phone.
This also falls in. So we have a image of Baphomet here. So they're describing some of the rituals that we have. So LaVeyan described a number of rituals in his book, The Satanic Rituals. These are dramatic performances with specific instructions surrounding the clothing to be worn, the music to be used. Hopefully, it's free for all parties, and the actions to be taken. This attention to detail in the design of the rituals was intentional, with their pageantry and theatricality intending to engage the participants' senses and the aesthetic sensibilities at various levels and enhancing the participants' willpower for magical ends. So it's kind of the John Constantine belief structure, essentially, that it doesn't really matter if you know what the words are, it's the will of the magician to manifest things that helps to make the power of the magic. So if you believe your own bullshit, the stronger you are as a musician and a magician.
Yeah.
Okay.
According to LaVeyan's instructions, we'll dive around, all participants are instructed to wear amulets of either the upturned pentagram or the image of Baphomet. According to his instructions, the altar is to be placed on an image of Baphomet. So Baphomet is essentially sort of like the culling point for all of your energies, which is quite fun. And it should be accompanied by various candles, all but one of which are to be black.
Okay, so I know that's truth. I'm not even going to debate that.
Okay, and then the lone exception is to be a white candle used in destructive magic, which is kept to right of the altar. Also to be included are a bell, which is rung 9 times at the start and end of the ceremony. A chalice.
9?
Because it's
Upside
German.
down 6 or
Sure, but I mean,
I think there's an exorcism, taking
yeah.
place because of
hold on.
dogs.
We gotta. No, it's not gonna happen now.
Of course.
Thank you, Frank. Hail.
He was getting excited because he thought we were going to get him involved, but
he loves ritualistic sacrifice. That's one of the things he likes the most. So if there's any potential for it, if he hears anything about it, he's always here. So
okay, God bless him.
Well.
So then they ring a bell 9 times at the start of the ceremony. A chalice made of anything but gold, and which contains a non-alcoholic drink symbolizing the elixir of life. A sword that represents aggression, a model phallus to be used as an aspergillum? That's one I'm not familiar with.
It just sounds like Catholicism with extra steps.
I was like, yeah, here we go. A gong and parchment on which requests to Satan are to be written before being burned. Although alcohol was consumed in the church's rites, drunkenness was frowned upon, and the taking of illicit drugs is also forbidden, hence why the drink has to be non-alcoholic.
So it's subversion.
Yes, but it's subversion within reason.
Yeah.
So that is another section that I wanted to read specifically because I threw a lie in there.
Into that one?
Yep, so now there are 2 lies.
Okay.
But we'll let you run back through some
I'm going to run back.
Okay. Do it.
Now, in the last episode, you said or implied that I couldn't count. That being said, I didn't count if you really did read 11 Tenets or not. But is the no harming kids thing actually in there?
Yes, it is.
God damn it.
You are not supposed to harm children, which, again, I find is really interesting. Just as a functionality of their faith, that they're going, we realize that there is somehow this idea that the sacrifice of something that is pure and clean is kind of contrarian to the idea of, most people saying like, oh, it's an affront, but they don't really believe in Satan. So again, they're using just Satan as a sigil for them, as like something that shows that they are debauched, and they just, enjoy taking themselves to the further reaches of their experience, like Cenobites.
Mike, do you have...
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take one blind stab.
Okay, do it.
The fever dream. Did he actually have a fever dream?
He did not. Well done.
Yeah. All right.
I wanted to do something.
That's from the first section, not from everything that you just read now.
Correct. But I was also trying to throw off that by throwing that Baphomet was a major sigil for them, but I didn't get into the fact that, he had none of that.
Yeah.
But,
when especially because you said that he had admitted to directly creating that, doesn't seem like he would be like, I woke up from a fever dream, and I'm like,
he's not doing this whole Joseph Smith bullshit.
Correct.
Yeah, he's a little more forefront about it.
I wanted to have, again, the topic is so fun on its own that if we spent, half of the stuff I could make up is not going to be as crazy as the actuality of the facts. Mm-hmm. So I figure, just throw something that's a little fun, we'll grease the wheel a bit. But it feels very bizarre that some just sabbatic goat suddenly becomes the sigil for the entire faith, and there's no real attribution to it that I found here as to explain why they initially ran with it.
And you didn't even bring Drew Carey into it once.
Nope, not once. But so that is one, and then we can get to what the second lie is within the rituals and ceremonies, and that one I made a little harder. So
just because it sounded weird, is the lie the 9 rings, or is it actually 9?
It is actually nine rings. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I know it's terrible. It's not 3 rings for the govern the rules of men.
Or not even.
No, it was nine rings for men. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said something. Never mind.
No. 9 were gifted to the race of men. Yeah.
What? What was that phallus for in the ritual?
The model phallus is used as an aspergillum. Let's see what this is. The aspergillum. We have a Western style aspergillum here.
Oh,
kind of.
It is a liturgical implement used to sprinkle holy water.
Okay, sorry. So it shows 2 items. So it actually shows like the little chalice thing that is what.
So you'll dip the aspergillum into the thing and then.
I got distracted because if you show it to Michael here, if you see the goblet, it almost looks like fucking Goblet of Fire.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm. But so essentially, whereas normally it's holy water, so this idea of divinity, you've got this dick thing that is then just flinging what would be ejaculate.
So
that's great.
That's
no, I'm not going to say that's not. Because it makes sense because it's a very distinct subversion. It's a very distinct insult.
Yes.
I mean, if you want, you can make that guess.
No. I'm not going to make that guess.
Which, if it does turn out that is the BS.
I mean, you've gotten one. So I mean, you've got a point here over Watkins.
Yeah,
so
I don't think I'm
catch up. So.
I'm never going to get points, but at least Shane and I are both here at the goose egg here.
Yes. None of us have ever won.
I'm going to try and ask questions.
Yeah.
Do it.
Try and help, because maybe the question might help.
Yeah, you're trying to help a poor asshole like me.
Fire away.
Looks like you have a lot of burdens that you don't want. So
you're trying to be relieved.
Take the ring.
Yes.
I can't carry it.
Let's see. Does it specify why the chalice can't be gold?
It does not. I mean, I imagine I will.
I'm trying to play this game where I don't look at your phone because I'm sitting right next to you. I think next time whoever's presenting needs to sit away.
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say. I'm actively not looking at things.
So I've had one guess. I've had 2 guesses. I've had 1 guess.
You've had 1.
I've had 1. I'm going to take my second guess. That's bullshit.
No, it is a chalice made of anything but gold. It doesn't specify why, and there is nothing specifically that sort of refers to it. There is a link here as far as like citation I can pull up.
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right.
That would require reading an article on the spot, which I have not done.
Yeah,
which herein lies the flaw of trying to touch on this. But I know the broad strokes here. That very specific one is not quite
It's fine. I mean, things don't have to be
the audience at home, if they really want to, they can hit the pause. They can open up that article and read all about it. And then they can tell us.
And jump out.
You're a better informed person
they probably
than we.
they probably see it already. It's probably dangling right in front of them, and they're screaming.
Like the sword of Damocles.
It's obvious. Why?
Okay.
Let's see. So they use the sword and destructive magic to destroy that candle. It's pretty much just hack at it.
Is there actually a way? Oh, I guess that'd be a guess. In part of the ritual, is that when we're talking about the black candles and, and the whole night?
Guess all you want. I mean, at this point, it's more fun to just, we're not having a number. I will tell you when we're done.
The candles actually all, or one is white and they're not just all black?
There are
I
the
know,
candles,
so
all
certain
of
about
which
it before.
one have to be black, yes.
Okay.
And then the lone exception is a white candle used in destructive magic, which is kept to the right of the altar. So essentially, they're saying that that is only going to be utilized if you are planning on utilizing something for a show of force or destruction.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't need to touch it.
Now, we don't have the Jeopardy music, but maybe this will help.
Goodness.
Because we're just one away.
Children, we want you to join us as we discuss the desecration of Baphomet's altar.
It's royalty free because Jimmy was 7 years old and he realized that no one would buy this shitty recording.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
How do they put an image of Baphomet under the altar?
So they also have amulets that are an upturned pentagram or the image of Baphomet. But essentially, the altar has to be placed on an image of Baphomet. It does not specifically say any stricture to that. So I imagine it could be just a photograph, could be some emblazoned giant sheet that one throws down.
Because that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Pop. But, so yes, it's, there's a lot of interesting, I mean, I can get into all of the nuance here of, like, LaVeyan prescribed male participants should wear black robes, while older women should wear black. Other women should dress attractively in order to stimulate sexual feelings amongst many of the men. All participants are instructed to wear amulets, either of the upturned pentagram or the image of Baphomet. So there's a lot being channeled in here, and it also depends on specifically what rite you are performing. So there's a lot of nuances to this that we can play off of.
Can I phone a friend?
You can. No, you can't. What sort of nonsense are you trying to pull?
I don't even know.
I feel like something about that sword, because it seems like almost unnecessarily, like, also, where do you get a sword?
It's, you have to have something that represents your aggression. And you can't just, you've already got something that's phallic, and that mostly shows lust, but, it's also aggressive, so. You're floating around the right area. Of course, I'm looking at this section here, so I'll read it back over again just to get you an idea of where we're
essentially the hint.
I'm hinting here, yes. Also to be included are a bell, which is rung 9 times at the start and end of the ceremony, a chalice made of anything but gold, and which contains a non-alcoholic drink symbolizing the elixir of life, a sword that represents aggression, a model phallus used as an aspergillum, a gong, and parchment on which requests to Satan are to be written before being burned. Although alcohol was consumed in the church's rites, drunkenness was frowned upon, and the taking of illicit drugs was forbidden.
Okay, I got 2 ideas, but you go ahead.
Why do they have a gong?
It's a very good point. I mean, if you gotta bang a gong and get it on.
Fair.
It's the gong show.
Is that your guess?
Oh, if it's a guess, then I'm going to say that
gong. That gong, 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 gong.
Is
the gong the lie?
Not part of it?
Is not part of it?
As in, there is no gong? It's a lie? That's the lie?
Gong is a lie.
The gong is...
There is no gong. Gong is a lie. Rip that bandit off now.
There is a gong.
Okay, I'm going to take the final stab.
Okay, final stab. Here we are. Last chance.
Is the final stab the alcohol-free bit?
Correctamundo.
Okay, yeah. That felt weird.
I wanted to slide that in.
I can say that now.
But what's funny is also that they do emphasize, though, that line is saying, although alcohol was consumed in the church's rites, the drunkenness was frowned upon, and the taking of illicit drugs forbidden. So that's why I threw back as, like, I can throw that it has to be a non-alcoholic drink. It has to be an alcoholic drink. You have to have alcohol in the chalice of life. Which is funny, but yes, they don't want you to get drunk off of it. You just take a little quick hit. Pour one out for your homies. Pour one out for our Lord of Darkness, Satan.
All right.
So that is just scraping the scab off of the beautiful pustule that is LaVeyan Satanism. I realized that was a great topic, but also is like I could lie for days and we would never get any further afield than there's a gong, a sword, some candles, and a phallic thing that we shake jizz at people with.
Yeah.
So it's, it's fun. But
it's fun.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn more, you can visit,
the Wikipedia.
Satan.com. But jump on Wikipedia. Just look up LaVeyan Satanism. The 11 Rules of the Earth. I will probably get tattooed on my lower calf somewhere, just to remind people. It's all that's behind.
So that when they do step on you, you can just point to the one and be like, why are you being such a dick, Shane? And then you lift up,
rule
or
number
you're wearing
11.
shorts.
I have to
wearing
destroy
shorts,
you.
and you just point to the number and make them read it.
Yep.
Now. Yeah.
Fuck you, Albus.
Yeah. No, that was Frank. That's Frank.
Oh, all right.
I told you he's
Fuck
Satan.
you, Frank.
So you liked the 11. Have you read the 7 fundamental tenets of the Satanic Temple?
I have not. Please, regale me.
One more and we're out?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Because these are pretty similar.
Are we lying?
Here we are. No lies.
Okay, all right.
We're leaving it earnest.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
Okay, so one should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason.
Okay.
The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions.
Mm-hmm.
One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone.
That's a brilliant one.
Yeah.
That's good.
The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to be offended. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego one's own.
Nice.
Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs.
That's beautiful.
People are fallible. Or fallible?
Fallible.
Fallible. Thank you.
Or fallible. You can trip and fall. That happens. I've seen it.
If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that might have been caused.
The thing that I love about this, compared to, Christian tenets. Now, granted, these are thousands of years old, so this is not me unduly, chastening Christianity. But these are so pragmatic and give you this sort of a little more specificity. Now, granted, as Lewis Black would say, pardon me for using the word, I'm stealing it from him. When we get together and formulate the 10 Commandments, we were 10 cunt hairs away from being baboons. So you needed to be able to dictate to people, please don't kill each other. Please make sure that you comport yourselves with dignity. Don't steal from other people. And the idea, again, marriage is between a man and a woman is because some guy walked in from the desert with a camel on a leash going, I met her out in the dunes. I want her. Right. Like, no, you can't do that. This is only, human on human action here.
Only.
We can't. So I love in the modern realm that we live for this, something that's concocted by scientists and theorists and pragmatists.
Right.
This is the more important to me. This is how you actually conduct yourself in a modern world where you appreciate others. You are not sacrificing your own dignity, but you also are defending yourself and the rights of others. It's just so gloriously pragmatic.
Yeah. And the final one, kind of what you're saying-ish. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word.
So,
let's go ahead.
Your results may vary depending
drop
upon
it real quick.
Yeah.
Because as an atheist, if gun to my head, someone's like, you have to choose. You can't just be an atheist. You can't be on the fence. You can't be agnostic. You can't be an atheist. You gotta choose one. Here's the documents. There I am right there.
Yeah. I mean, if you take a critical eye to it, because we already, how often we get involved or embroiled in these debates with people opining sort of like the greatness of the wisdom of thou shalt not kill. But then there's automatically caveats that get thrown into the mix. During war times when you're defending yourselves, because certainly if we're on a crusade to defend the Lord from all of these heathens, let's kill all of them. I mean, obviously,
exactly.
this, I don't want to kill a baby when it's in the womb, but we can kill it in 10 months now with a firearm. There's all of these things that kind of present themselves as we put an asterisk next to it and we contravene it or we find ways to get around it. They tell you have to be flexible with this, and it's really based on your own judgment and moralistic idea. The imperative is relative to you.
Yeah.
You determine what's right, and if it's wrong, someone's probably going to put you in your place.
Yeah.
So, it's a beautiful example of evolution in action.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. And that is going to conclude this edition of the Disinformed podcast. We sincerely appreciate you taking some time to listen to us, and we hope that you enjoyed the episode as much as we did recording it. Please do us a favor, float over to your preferred podcast provider app and subscribe to us there. And if you're so inclined, you can even leave us a review. It immensely helps to get our name out there, and it also lets us know what you feel about how we're doing here, if you're enjoying the show, as we most certainly are. If you're looking to connect with us on social networking as well, you can find us on Instagram at Disinformed Podcast. We are on Facebook.com/Disinformed Podcast and on Twitter at Disinformed Pod. But that will do it for all of us here at the Disinformed Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Don't worry, we'll clean it up.